we should ask the people in Zamfara, do you feel the effect of this dam? It used to be situated in Old Sokoto State, but don't forget that Zamfara was carved away from Old Sokoto as well as Kebbi State. So this is what we now have in Zamfara. One of the things that the state has inherited. Is it working? We understand it stretches over 8,000 hectares and is at least 19 kilometers upstream. It is really serene to look at. Very beautiful indeed. Chamberlain, we just have to ask whether the infrastructure is really delivering on the promise that it was supposed to deliver when it was commissioned over 40 years ago.
And that's why we need everyone in Zamfara State, particularly all the political leaders, the current, the former, all of them need to pull together in the interest of peace. That's part of the reason why they're having this Northwest Summit anyways, which is part of what we'll focus on here this morning on the program. Okay, so let's go ahead and take you through what some of the dailies are reflecting today. So let's have a look. We start today with Blueprint newspaper, and the big lead on the front page there. Tinubu explains insecurity in the north. Bandits kill Sokoto Varsity DVC. Look at the riders. 35 abducted in Zamfara. President warns ideological mischief countered. Be ready to challenge gunmen. Sultan charges subjects. So there you go, that perspective right there on the front page of the paper here this morning, talking about security as they also are reviewing their strategies this morning. All right, so Vanguard newspaper next. NCDC declares cholera emergency, sets up measures. There's a big lead there at the bottom strip. Rivers crisis, ex-LG chairpersons flout police order, staged protests. Daily Trust, Shetima to Sokoto government. Sultan must be guarded jealously. That's how the report here this morning. The Daily Times, purchase of new presidential jets insensitive profligate, says PRP. Daily Independent still goes back to the cholera outbreak. Death toll rises to 53 across 31 states. Cases soar to 1,528. That's how the paper reports today. But Nigerian News Direct talks about Dara meeting, mixed reactions trail Atiku, El Rufai, Ali Modu Sheriff's visit to Buhari's residence. Nigerian Tribune has a different perspective. Southern governors unveil 5-point agenda for region's development. That's how they also have that story of NCDC at the bottom strip. But look at New Telegraph. Epidemiological evidence. NCDC declares public health emergency on cholera. And then The Guardian, delisting firms, they're focusing on a different matter entirely. Shareholders, 130 billion naira trapped in SEC Finance Ministry 5 years after. That's how The Guardian reports here today. Then the Nigerian Observer, Nigeria needs more agri investments to boost economic growth. It's back to an envoy, so you might want to have a look at that. So those are some of the highlights this morning.
Well, I'm looking at the papers this morning, and to be very honest, I want to be I don't want to say mischievous, but I want to start with something a little lighthearted. But this story is staring at me in front page of the New Telegraph. Who doesn't want me to? You know, I'm looking at this Please let me go with my lighthearted story. Because sometimes pronouncing the word "go" is the problem. But let's try again. Epidemiological evidence. NCDC declares public health emergency on cholera. That's the big story on the front page of New Telegraph. And you see right there, places Nigeria on high risk of transmission, impact, activates EOC as death toll rises to 29 in Lagos, 53 nationwide, records 1,528 suspected cases across 31 states as of yesterday. Enugu government urges residents to be vigilant, report symptoms. As of last week, we understand that this epidemic was already in at least 31 states of the including the Federal Capital Territory, or 31 states of the Federation already. As of today, you might want to flip inside the pages of New Telegraph to know how many states are now affected. But to see that we have people dying from something that is highly preventable, cholera, speaks to so many things. It speaks to the level of hygiene. It speaks to the level of education. People consuming products that are not labeled or have not been checked by NAFDAC. From the preliminary investigations that have been conducted in Lagos State. And so, there is a lot to worry about. The rainy season has just started, especially in intensity. And already we've recorded 29 people and over 1,528 suspected cases. It is something to really worry about. I mean, to be very honest, my initial peak was Davido and Chioma's thrilling love story on the front page of Vanguard. But when you look at the severity and the gravity of what we're looking at on the front page of New Telegraph, it really gives you cause for concern. And you're wondering, do we really see this as an emergency? It's a good thing that the NCDC has now raised the alert level to a public health emergency. I'm wondering whether the state governors, those who gathered in Katsina yesterday talking about security, those who gathered in Abeokuta yesterday, the Southern Governors Forum, was this one of the issues that they discussed, this issue of cholera and how, it is spreading and how they can actually do something about it so that cholera becomes a thing of the past in our respective states. Chimney.
Well, yeah, or just, well, the other item, the front page of Nigerian Tribune here this morning, yes, it's not that big story, but the one beneath it, which is where they were talking about how we killed retired Army General ascribed to suspects on the front page of Tribune. So the FCT Police Commissioner, they did arrest those suspects, paraded them, and then yeah, he also did say that we're going to go ahead and recover the pistols. So, and you could see that the POS machines that were displayed by those. So it's something that has been happening for a long time. And sometimes you question how the security agencies approach their jobs, wherein you see another official coming, he's getting more results than the previous ones, the same force, the same personnel. And you just wonder. But of equal importance here, guys, is all of these estates that we do have. And this is the same syndicate the police say.
With POS.
Yeah, that's POS.
With
the police
POS
say,
machines.
Absolutely. And these same people, they say they had collected 400,000 naira and 300,000 naira from another livestock estate resident and things like that. So all those estates that people have, and you have those persons who are supposed to be security agencies, I think they need to just spend a little more money to ensure you improve the security in those estates. And you need to pay attention to that, because I don't know what people can do without security. Don't just rely on the regular Joneses you get outside to just stand at your gate, open it and shut it down. Look at what's going on there. These chaps are thinking. So should you.
Indeed.
They are doing so much. They are investing their time, their resources, their energy to do something untoward. Why won't we all? Why shouldn't we all? So,
Chairman, one of the things, seeing those POS machines, just, something just sparked in my head. Do you know that whenever it is, you have a complaint against something that's you've been extorted via a POS machine, it is very difficult to trace.
It's very difficult.
It's very difficult to trace. And I think that is a problem that the bank should take up. Whenever it is a fraud is committed from a POS machine or through a POS machine, I think that banks should find a way to ensure that they can actually trace those POS machines to the people whom they actually gave them to.
I hate to burst your bubble, but some of those bankers own those POS machines
indeed.
out there.
Oh, they're part of it sometimes.
So you see why when government agencies want to take a certain decision, some people will just keep yelling and shouting, not knowing why that shout is coming from or where it is coming from. Some people actually sponsor all of those things. So sometimes when you actually see the reasons why this has happened, you'll be shocked. You think it's altruistic, but it is not. That's why we always tell people, look beyond the headline. There's always a story behind the story. So many things going on behind the scenes, and so many things that the CP and co did say in that particular thing that we all should pay attention to. Yes, we'll be talking about security, of course, as we pick up here this morning, but we really need to do way much more than we're doing this morning. All right, so that said, we will be back in just a moment and take you through what we've got for you today, so stay on with us.
Cube is available in beef, chicken, jollof, and shrimp flavors at attractive prices of 100, 200, 500 naira, along with saver and super saver packs.
Terra Cube, unwrap joy, unleash taste.
The future belongs to the dreamers, to the doers, to those who are not afraid of the side hustle. It's for those who are ready to turn their passion into something big, and to help keep you revitalized and inspired. Top T is with you every step of the way. You are made for more. Find your inspiration. Top T, big round bags of flavor.
The Job Creation and MSME Clinics Secretariat coordinating invites operators in the MSME sector and the general public to the 6th National MSME Awards, scheduled for June 27, 2024 at the State House Banquet Hall, Presidential Villa, Abuja at 4 p.m. prompt. Special guest of honor, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Chief host, His Excellency Vice President Kashim Shettima, GCON. All guests are expected to be seated by 3:30 p.m. Announcer, Clemitola Adekule Johnson, MFR, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Job Creation and MSMEs.
Political leaders in different wards of Obiakpo, they are currently showing their solidarity for the FCT minister in protest march. At the moment, in Civic Center, you have the minority leader of the House of Reps. You have also the factional speaker of the House of Assembly in Rivers State, Masinemi Ole, former council chairman. I understand that Mr. George Ariolu are part of those leading that particular march. Now, we're told that they are demanding that the Inspector General of Police continue to occupy the councils and not succumb to any form of intimidation. Now, they say they're going to be marching along the Quarry Road, and the crowd, from what we've seen and told, they're causing a lot of traffic. Commuters, there's a build-up to that. And we also understand that from the airport, there's a traffic tailback, huge tailback there. So some persons stranded at the moment. But I think we might just listen a little bit to Mr. Martin Ameule, who is also in the midst right there, talking about all of those issues there. So a matter that is developing in Rivers State.
Shown this morning is that you are all people of peace. You believe in the peace of Rivers State. You believe in the peace of Obiabo. You believe that there should be peace in this country. I want to commend all of you for what you are doing, for not taking up arms, for not being violent, but for standing by what this country ought to stand by at all times, which is democracy. We believe in the rule of law, we believe in democracy, and we believe that there is nobody that is above the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There is nobody that is above laws of Rivers State. What you have all said this morning is that you stand by the laws of Rivers State. What we are saying this morning is that you stand by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Yes, what we are saying this morning is that you stand by democracy, which has enshrined the principles of separation of powers. Indeed, Rivers people have woken up, and I'm happy that at this point in time in our history, people are getting more enlightened. People are beginning to demand that the rights be done at all times.
All right, so we'll get you more updates on that matter as we get them. And besides, we're also going to talk about that much later in the course of the programming here today.
Well, we hope that the situation remains peaceful, but when you look at the fact that you can also see people cooking, what's that? Cooking you saw in the protest video, I hope that, normalcy returns to the airport area, because, there certainly will be traffic and it will be affecting businesses, the economy, and this is not a time that we should be,
I had to look twice. I said, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But what does they say? Never cease.
With the pestle and food and what have you, and they're cooking right there.
Oh, boy. Okay, so yesterday, the Northwest governors, alongside the president was also there, the former president was there, UNODC, they were all there when they held this Northwest Stakeholders Security meeting, of which almost all the governors were there. Many others were also represented. So let's listen to one of the governors who participated in that summit.
Addressing the nexus of banditry, extremism, and climate change in northwest Nigeria resonates with our experiences in Zamfara State. We are suffering from banditry and devastating effect of climate change in Zamfara State as well as other part of northern Nigeria. Your Excellencies, in Zamfara, we are implementing various initiatives to enhance security, revitalize agriculture, as well as promote sustainable livelihood. Key among these include the establishment of Security Resource Fund, establishment of state-owned task force named Community Protection Guards to combat banditry as well as other related crimes in the state and support our neighboring states in tackling this menace. We're strengthening community engagement and social cohesion to address communal conflicts. Education is a priority area, considering its vital role in addressing social, political, as well as economic challenges.
Those two gentlemen are here with us in the studios. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafa is a former chairman, Committee on Prosecution of Bandits-Related Offences. I also have sitting beside him Habib Gajo, who is a public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Let me start with you, Alhaji Gajo. Summits, yes, we've had it. Not that we've not done this before in the country and up north as well, but give us your impression. What do you think that this summit, given the caliber of people who we saw there, how much of an impact do you think this can make?
Well, it is going to go a long way if they are sincere. The sincerity of the summit matters, because we have several summits in 2020, in 2022. Nothing happened. They went to Kigali, they went to United States of America. You understand? All for symposium and seminars and so on and so forth. But nothing comes out of it. And bringing this summit by UNDP, I think the aim is being defeated. And if you notice, most of the governors are not there. It's only 2 governors. The rest are representative. The vice president is there. He spoke well. He spoke positively. The Zamfara state governor spoke positively. I think Zamfara state governor is one of the governors that even hit the nail. You understand? Because this crisis started with communal crisis. You understand? It's not a full-blown terrorism. It's a local violence. You understand? And need to be taken care locally. But due to the inefficiency of the governors who are elected, the politicians who are elected, they capitalize on communal crisis and so on, and created this bandit.
When you say that you hope that this will achieve its purpose, the governors, some of them were represented, and did you speak to some persons in that conference when you said you hope that they are sincere? I mean, why did you say that?
Yeah, because it is been happening, and some of the governors have said that. Chamberlain, let me give you an example. What happened in Jigawa State? Then the former governor, Sule Lamido, was a governor. Jigawa used to have communal crisis and farmers' headers clashes. You understand? So Sule called a assembly summit, all the stakeholders in Jigawa State, and asked them, what do you want? As a governor, I will do it for you. I'm here for you. Who spoke out? And the main concern is farmers' headers and drug abuse. He said, okay, I know what I'm going to do. He called the farmers, he called the headers. This is your farms. From so meter to so meter will be a grazing route. You understand? A farmer can expand to the road while the headers can't enter the farms. And anybody committed that offense is going to be charged to prison and will pay damages. Chamberlain, when you had the Jigawa State governor was saying that for almost 2 to 3 decades, Jigawa is peaceful, it's because of the legacy of what Sule Lamido did. You understand? By settling between the farmers and headers.
We'll still come back to that particular example with former Jigawa governor and current Jigawa governor in terms of what was said there. But let me get Mr. Shinkafa to give his opening impression as well. Having been in the States, in Zamfara, particularly dealing with bandit-related offenses, this summit, do you think it speaks to the core of the challenges you might have observed while you were there?
There is conferences upon conferences, seminars upon seminars, workshops about workshops, and also summit on summit upon summit. It has not changed the narratives. The most important thing is to critically examine the combined root causes of armed banditry and profile homegrown solution. The problem of armed banditry is not for you to be attending summit blowing grammar without implementing the outcome of the summit. Many summits have been conducted for decades. Northern Governors Forum Summit, Northwestern Governors Summit, many summits on security, traditional rulers summit. It has not changed the narratives. So that should be a proper homegrown solution. These bandits are indigenous. 80% to 90% of them are native of the land. And the root causes of this banditry is hanging around these governors.
What is the cause?
Root cause are lack of good governance, that is bad governance. Lack of educational development within the region. Neglect of social and economic development by the previous and the present administration. Poverty, unemployment, corruption, weak judicial system, proliferation of smaller and lighter arms through the border, the forest border. Kebbi State share boundary with Benin Republic and Niger Republic. Sokoto share boundary with the Niger Republic. Zamfara share boundary with the Niger Republic. Katsina share boundary with the Niger Republic. So this porous border, the security around the border are also corrupt. Involvement of the traditional rulers, some unpatriotic security agents, weak judicial system, and bad governance.
If I could just jump in, my apologies. When you speak about proliferation of light arms and small weapons, there are images of some of those seizures. I think the latest one being from One Bonded Terminal in Port Harcourt. And there are questions about all of these seizures over time. While you were prosecuting some of these persons and bandits, did you get information, did any of some of those weapons seized by government agencies end up in the hands of bandits?
No, it has not. All the seizures we make during the first administration of Bello Muhammad Matawale, we send it back to the police armory, including the one which the army retrieved from the bandit during the exchange of fire. They also take it to the armory of the police armory. And when they also some recovery made during the amnesty granted to bandit by Abdulaziz Yari, more than 5,000 then gone rocket launcher, AK-47, AK-49 were destroyed, and it was destroyed in the presence of the security agents. So this arms ammunition doesn't go back or viciously recycle back to the bandit during the tenure of Bello Matawale.
Well, you know, one of the things that you have said, I mean, you've delved right into the root causes of this, of the current insecurity being experienced in the, not only in the northeast, but also in the northwest of the country, but particularly in the northwest now, because it looks like it's the new frontier when we're now fighting banditry and bandits. The northeast was about terrorism, Boko Haram, etc., but it does appear that the army has been able to stem that down. What seems intractable is the issue of insecurity in the Northwest. And just when you were speaking, what came to my mind was the saying that if you think education is expensive, try ignorance, and this is basically where we are. A lot of people are not educated. A lot of children in the north, even as we speak, we're not even seeking to correct that. So, in your estimation, would you say that this issue, this situation, has now gone too far for some of the discussions that we're currently having? Have we gone so? Because it's now close to 9 years since this issue of banditry started in the northwest of the country.
More than 9 years.
Yes, well,
it's about
that's when it began to come
to
the national domain, you know, and gaining a lot of traction. Zamfara was where it became very noticeable. Would you say that it has gone too far now for some of the solutions that are being proffered?
It's looking at the geographical landmass of the northwest region, and also the highest number of population density of the northwest, which we have even taken about 30% of the total Nigerian population, northwest. So, and looking at the abandoned land, lack of education, lack of development of these agricultural lands are undeveloped, people are unemployed. There's a lot of poverty. All the industries, especially Kaduna textile, Huntua textile, Zamfara textile, are all not working for more than 2 decades. So these are some of the root cause: unemployment, poverty, and the corruption. And looking at the size of the population, and also the governors are not even ready to proper solution to this banditry.
Yes, the
governors have been collecting money from the federation account, yet they refuse to conduct local government election, and they are diverting the funds for personal enrichment. So these are some of the root cause. When the local government are not working, there is no representation in the electoral wards at the grassroots. These are the councillors, are the people listening to the problem in their wards. So that is the main problem. And there is no synergy even between the security agencies. And some of the governors are not ever ready to cooperate and to support the security operation in their various states. In terms of providing logistics, in terms of supporting them with some operational vehicle. We know the primary responsibility of any responsible government is to provide security and welfare of its people. And the primary responsibility of the fighting this banditry on other criminal elements lies within the ambit of the federal government. But still the state governors need to do something.
Let me ask you to hold your thoughts. Mr. Gajo, do you agree with this analysis, and do you think this has now gone too far for the kind of solutions that we're seeing being proffered?
Yeah, not too far. I quite agree with him when he said lack of good governance, but my own is absence of governance. Absence of governance in the sense...
There's a total absence.
There's total absence.
Whether good or bad.
There is no presence of governance in any local government in northwestern state. That's the fact. You understand? When you elect them, swear them in, they are gone back to cities. They will be in Kaduna, Abuja, Lagos, and other places.
They don't stay in their state.
They don't stay in their state. Even the governors spend more days in Abuja more than their state. You understand? You go to a local government, you will drive the whole local government and the villages and hamlet. You will never see a police station or a police outpost or a policeman. Now, secondly, like what the Sultan said, whatever we are going to do, you understand, we should put emphasis on local, homegrown solution. And the way he put it, I don't like the way he put it as insurgency. It's not an insurgency. This is a purely criminality. Let's deal with the criminals head on, straight. You understand? We don't need to call them insurgency. We don't need to call insurgents, terrorists, and we are growing them. Let us bring them to their levels as criminals, local disturbance and violence, then arrest them, prosecute them. You see, the last administration of Katsina and Zamfara state were busy negotiating with the bandit and the terrorists, even Kaduna State paying them money to lay down their arms. Unfortunately, these criminals are smarter than the government. They will just bring their old guns that are not working. They will dump them. They will collect money. They will go and buy new ones. Next month, you will hear they are back again. So I don't think the politicians, they know what they are doing or they have good advisors. You understand?
So if former Jigawa governor,
yes,
like you mentioned earlier, if he was able to call that kind of meeting, and then you say the legacy of what is there now is part of what, as a result of part of what he did before.
Yes.
So there's a clear example right there. So what makes it so difficult for some of the other governors there to do the same thing?
They are too lazy, and most of them are corrupt. You see, the Minister of Defense,
the current one,
the current Minister of Defense is the one that succeeded Sule Lamido. He continued with it. He consolidated. The new governor, Namadi, you understand, also consolidated on the peace and security of Jigawa State. We have large farms, we have many dams, mini dams, and so on. We have plenty acres. So people are farming and headers are grazing. We have big market. We have international market, Megatari, Gujungu, and so on and so forth, Gumal. You know, and we bordered Yobe, Borno, Bauchi, and Gombe State. And all the crisis of Boko Haram has not reached Jigawa State because there is no go area for them.
If I could just ask you this, also following that example, there are several images that circulate all over the place about herders herding their cattle in people's farms, not in Jigawa, other places. I don't know if I see that in Jigawa though. If there are visuals of that. So is it that they don't know? Because there's sometimes you can clearly see that this is somebody else's farm. Why does that happen? Do they need to be told that this is somebody's farm when they go in there?
Yeah, you see, a herder is mostly small boys, young boys, some 7 years, 12 years, 17, 15 years.
So they have owners?
They have owners, you understand? So when they are grazing, if you did not differentiate or demarcate, you understand, in the course of their going, like Alhaji Shinkafi said, ignorance, you understand, and lack of law. Like the example I gave about Sule Lamido, if you trespass, you will be punished and you will go to jail. And nobody will save you. And he uses the emirate, the local councils, like what we call village head, you understand, to step by step, they give information. Even the outside Fulanis that are coming or passing through Nigeria, if the Jigawa State Fulanis, you understand, they will call the emir, they will call the DPO, they will signal the police that so people are coming and we didn't trust them and we don't want them to come. You understand? There is no way for them because they look violent or they carry arms.
Wow.
You understand? There is a correct channel of information in Jigawa State. You understand? So if the northwestern state will do that, what happened in Kano during Boko Haram, when they start attacking Kano, Kano people went after them. If you rent a house and they did not trust you, you rent a house 3 days, 5 days, nobody see you, nobody knows you, they will call police. They will call Hizbah. They will arrest you. That's how Boko Haram left Kano State. You understand? So in Zamfara and Katsina, Sokoto, they are busy calling for let down your arms, let discuss, let's settle. You can't settle with a criminal. You can't settle with somebody who is taking life. You understand? You can't negotiate with a criminal that don't even value his own life, talk more of your own. You understand? So these governors, they thought they are secured, so they don't care about the local people or their indigenous or their state. Like in Zamfara, most of this crime is being committed by illegal miners. There is a bunch of illegal miners everywhere.
Yes. In fact, I haven't heard you speak about that as part of the main factors. Because even as we speak today, the allegations that the former governor was negotiating with bandits. So could you speak to those key issues? How serious was illegal mining? Did he contribute? Are the governors benefiting? Did the former governor benefit? Did he negotiate with bandits? Is he negotiating with bandits?
You see, the negotiation with the bandit is another approach. It's a non-kinetic approach. In the fight against crime and criminality, especially something to do with banditry, insurgency, you have to go into two approaches, non-kinetic and kinetic approach. So the governor was trying to initiate a peace dialogue with the repentant bandits who are ready to repent. Those who are not ready to repent, there was a total military action against them. There was nothing like a negotiation. I have sat in a committee with the former Inspector General of Police, MD Abubakar, headed. That is a committee for finding lasting solution to banditry in Zamfara State. We have made so much recommendations to the government.
But as you guys just told us now, it's Jigawa, Kano. There was no such as peace summits, negotiate. They went over head
Let
long.
me tell you, the issue of Zamfara and Jigawa is differently entirely.
Are you saying they can't approach it the same way?
Let me tell you, the problem started from headers, farmers, communal class.
Which, as an example, in Jigawa?
Then metaphors to cattle rustling. Then metaphors to also banditry, kidnapping for ransom, destruction of killings, bloodletting, rapes, armed robbery. So it is different entirely.
It is criminality.
It's a criminality, there's no doubt about it. It's one of the highest rate of criminality. But the issue also of illegal mining has collaborations with this banditry. Most of this militarization area, where it has highest deposit of gold, lithium, copper, it is the hideout, or it is the camp of armed bandits.
So would you say that complicated the solutions that were being proffered in Zamfara State?
It has complicated because there is influence of illegal miners from the neighboring countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and some also Chinese.
Pardon me. See, the example that Gajo gave.
Yes.
That if the foreign Fulanis, if they are coming into the country, the local Fulanis he just told us that example.
Yes,
Why couldn't the Zamfara State do the same thing?
You see, that is what I have earlier said.
Are they the ones bringing those foreigners to come and mine illegally?
No. You see the influence of, these Fulani are nomadic. You understand? And the influence of, illegal influence of Fulani aliens, you can't stop them because they go through Cameroon, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso. They are nomadic Fulani. Even they go through the eastern part of the country and the western part of the country. So that's influence of the illegal alien. It is only if the government is ready. That was what we call jangali and cattle taxes during the native authority. In our recommendation, we even recommended the state government to reintroduce community tax. Because in Zamfara, when the Eriman Bakura, the country
who will be collecting the community tax? Who will be collecting it? Government?
The government. It's through the community tax you can checkmate the influence of the illegal immigrants. It is through the payment of that also cattle taxes that you can know the numbers of cattle or sheep in a particular community. So all those taxes were abolished by the administration of Yarima Bakura. And that time, during the NA Native Authority, they numbered houses. So they know the numbers of occupants or inhabitants of each and every houses, even before the census. But now, as he said, as what the guy just said, if there's a new entrant into their Jigawa land, the government will know. And there is no good synergy between the traditional rulers
Elijah, do you think
and
that
the government.
Was that a good strategy in Zamfara and some of the other states?
Well, you see, the strategy of the new governor, what we are yet to see.
And the former one, which is where he served, that's why he was telling us what they did at the time.
The former one complicated the whole security issues in Zamfara
Really?
state.
How?
Yeah, by politicizing it. You understand? He was busy looking for a second term, flying all over Abuja, bringing a gold plate to president. And the miners are not paying the government royalty. They are not, the government don't have the access of the gold and lithium and other mineral resources. Then who is benefiting with it? We need to know, is government benefiting from it? The Nigerian government is benefiting from it? Is it going to our national treasury? Is it going to the state treasury? These are criminals. These are bad, illegal miners. Whether they are from Burkina Faso, they are from anywhere. You deal with them, you stop them. You understand? In some of the states, we don't entertain Mieti Allah self. You understand?
Like
in Jigawa State, there is no Mieti Allah. You understand?
At all?
At all. Jigawa State. Because we used to call them Masuchi de Chito. You know, I don't know. Let me
What's
put
the
it
English
those who are eating from the sweat of the...
benefiting from the crisis.
Yes.
You understand? They will always issue a statement, come to media, talk rubbish, threaten people, threaten Nigeria, and so on. And those local criminals are raising shoulders.
Sorry, there are two types of, two groups, Mieti Allah Kaltohore and Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria. Is it both? You don't have anyone in Jigawa?
We don't have anyone in Jigawa State because in Jigawa there is Hausas, there is Fulanis. You understand? I'm a Fulani man. When I was a student in Hadija, you understand? During military, I think during Babangida, those foreign headers came and passed and sweep our cattle and sheep. You understand? So my father used his pickup up to Unguru to stop them. and fought them, and they said, if your cattle are there, call them. My father called them, and they came out. He said, next time, don't pass our place. You understand? The people were brought to the emir of Hadija. Then Haruna Maji was the emir of Hadija. They were sanctioned, and they were warned, and they were banned from taking that route. You understand? So now, what the northwestern state governors will do is to stop those criminal headers who are stealing and committing all those crimes. If you see them, you know them. They are bororos and so on. You understand? So, and they don't belong to Nigeria. But Nigeria is the giant of Africa. Our borders are open.
And we signed an agreement. There is also an ECOWAS agreement that allows for transhumance.
Yes,
I'm just wondering, how much of that has affected also the security? And can you tell us what you made of the Senate's intervention, the attempted intervention by trying to legislate ranches for the entire country?
Yeah, we started with ranches, you understand? But later it was abolished. That is why we have brutally, we call it brutally in Hausa. It means ranches. It means ranch. You understand? In that local government or in that community, everybody will bring his own cattle and sheep and goats. You understand? They will stay there in the morning. They will go and graze. There is abundant land of grazing that is not a farm. You understand? It's a government land that was not allocated to anybody. They are free to graze there. And their route to the river or stream to drink water is also provided. Look, we live a time where a farmer will go and meet a Fulani man. Please, come, I have harvested my crops. Bring your farms to stay in my, bring your cattle to my farm and pay me. You understand? Pay me 30,000, 70,000. It depends on the life of your owner. They will be in the farm grazing, and at the end of the when the rainy season comes, they will go and you have a manual fertilizer. So your
if I could just ask you, help us understand this, because the impression people have is that if they first of all ask, why should government spend public funds to do ranching for herders? Because it's different if it was livestock. But if it has to do with farmers, they think, number one, that government shouldn't be spending public funds, particularly for herders, because it's a private business. Yes. And then they also think that if that happens, chances are that if you give that space, they, like you said, the bororos might come in, join, they spread, become a risk to society. That's why some people think, no, this is not a good idea.
Yeah, enacting the law is, or implementing the law, because the laws are there. In every state, the laws are there. You understand? They don't want to do it, and the National Assembly want to capitalize on it, the politicians want to capitalize on it and make some noise, create tension and escalate some of the things. You understand? People will start writing, firing back, you understand, criticizing and so on and so forth. So let all the assembly members, both the Senate and House of Representatives, they have a constituencies. Let them go back to their constituencies, sit with their local government chairmen and councillors, you understand, and the community leaders. Let them discuss, how are we going to secure our constituency? We have Fulanis, we have farmers. You understand? We have leaders, we have farmers. Come together. How are we going to do this? Your business is your business. Farming is also a business. We need each other. So how are we going to make peace
Okay.
Peace
we're winding down.
It's a gold.
What would your suggestions be for peace or solutions to this crisis?
Well, the solution to this crisis, first and foremost, before I continue, I want to disagree with the comment made by Habib Gajo that the former Governor Matawale complicated the armed banditry in the state. It's not true, because the issue of banditry is far back more than 12 years now. And the governor inherited banditry from the past administration of Abdulaziz Yari. So I have to put the record straight. So having said that, the solution to this armed banditry issue of these ranches, already there's National Grazing Reserve Act. More than 20% or 20% of the land mass in the northern region during the late Premier Ahmadu Bello was set aside for grazing reserve, for forest reserve, for cattle route, and the Fulani settlement and palm settlement. Most of these palm lands have been taken away or sold out by some traditional rulers. So the hiders find it very difficult to rear their cow in the reserve grazing area. So this issue of ranches is a non-kinetic approach. It will also help the government to minimize the Fulani nomadism, going up and down and causing all this type of, committing all this type of crime. Because they will provide veterinary clinic, grazing area.
Who will provide it?
The government.
The public funds?
Well, that is,
why should government spend public funds?
The responsibility of government is to provide security and welfare of its people. That is section 40, subsection 2 of the Constitution.
Yeah, but you're saying they should provide specifics. Particularly for
the funds are made for the government and for the public. The government is to start people.
So is government going to provide me if I'm having goats?
You know, government has already there's a ranches. No. It is but because of the unscrupulous attitude of some traditional rulers encroach and sold out all these.
But we just had a clear example of what was done in a particular state.
So instead of spending,
why can't states try it?
Look, instead of spending money to build ranches, you will end up spending money in buying arms and ammunition, and also appropriating the
that's trying to twist government. If you say, if you don't do this, this is what you get. That would be twisting government. Or else, other criminals will come up in another region and say, okay, you spend this or you get this. You can't blackmail government like that.
An amnesty was granted to the Niger Delta. And money were spent on the national budget.
So that's why.
So why should people doesn't question that? Why?
Question which one?
Questions the amnesty and also the solution, which they was.
So is this a deliberate attempt to say, okay, since you did granted amnesty to Niger Delta, then you have to grant amnesty or buy ranches or build ranches for herders?
You see, the government has already set aside money. They are coming.
So, but are we equating human lives with the pipelines now? The same thing?
Human lives? Human lives is more important than five lives.
All right. I believe we've already gotten your suggestion and solutions because we had to go. It's already 10.
Yeah. But what I've said about the former Zamfara state governor, this is a governor that calling bandit criminals, laying their arms, giving them title, turbaning them, celebrating with them.
Okay, so
visiting them, even going to their.
Gentlemen, we have to thank you.
It's a non-kinetic approach.
Habib Gajo, public affairs analyst, Sani Abdullahi Shigafi. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on today. It's Business Morning on Sunrise Today now with Inijo Mekwa.
Thank you so much, Chamberlain. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. We start off from the global space. Oil prices were a little changed on Tuesday as worries about China's economic recovery prospect offset supply concerns stemming from tensions in the Middle East and Ukrainian attacks on Russian refineries. We'll see that Russia is again in the news and affecting oil prices this morning, at least sanctions on Russia. But let's look at the numbers right there. We see it's a gain, 0.08%. For Brent, $86.06 a barrel, and for WTI of the United States, it's $81.74, and even a bigger gain right there, 0.13%. And there's been growing concerns about the recovery prospect in the world's second largest economy. That, of course, is China. The demand there affects oil prices, and retailers in China are facing daunting near-term future as a disappointing media online shopping festival revealed. Meanwhile, on the other hand, there's 2 Israeli airstrikes targeting 8 supplies, killed at least 11 Palestinians in Gaza on Monday. And then also another factor, EU countries on Monday agreed on a new package of sanctions against Russia over its war in Ukraine, and this includes a ban on reloading Russian liquefied natural gas in the EU for further shipment to third countries. This, of course, we know Russia being who they are. There's going to be a response to this, and we don't know how this is going to affect gas prices and supply. And at the end of the day, it also affects crude oil. And when you talk of the third countries, you're looking at emerging economies such as Nigeria. And then we stay in Nigeria, talking about Naira. It's a further depreciation. The FM and NAFEX, yesterday, we saw it go from about 1,480, I think it was 88 this time yesterday, but closed at 1,490 Naira, 20 kobo, getting close to 1,500. This is where we were, 1,845 Naira, 53 kobo. For NAFEX, it's not up to that, but this, of course, captures a more realistic picture. If you look at the pricing, NAFEX 1,488 Naira, 6 kobo, 1,485 Naira, 42 kobo, and that's both of them are dropped, 0.31 and 0.18. It's about 3 weeks now since we've had any intervention from the central bank into both the BDCs and the official market. And there are stories, perhaps the CBN has stopped, but there's no concrete or formal communication from the central bank that there'll be no intervention, especially to the BDCs. But it's about 3 weeks now, and the bank and we've seen the market actually just dealing with demand and supplies, and no intervention coming from the regulator. Now, Mr. Femi Otedola is in the news again. Barely how many days he has again acquired additional 2.22% shares in FBN Holdings. The acquisition was disclosed in the corporate filing of the Nigerian Exchange Group. There you have it, Mr. Otedola again making his move. This fresh acquisition further cements the billionaire's controlling the company, as his shareholding has now reached 11.63%. That's what he's holding now. And according to NGX filing, Mr. Otedola has spent 17.2 billion naira to acquire 797.946 shares. And he bought it at 29 naira 58 kobo. This latest acquisition comes just 4 days. We had this about 4 days ago, and today again. Well, this happened yesterday. Of course, we saw it at the close of trade, Mr. Otedola and FBN Holdings. And still staying in the banks, it appears that certain persons are not so happy with the central bank's recapitalization plan to ensure that the subsector remains vibrant and able. You know, they have about 2 years for recapitalization. A coalition of civil society organizations have been addressing this, and they claim that vested interests are hatching up plans to create a diversionary campaign to stop the proposed banking sector recapitalization, which requires commercial banks with international authorization to increase their capital base to 500 billion naira, national banks 200 billion naira, and and we've already seen banks like Fidelity Bank head to the NGX for that.
Our gathering today is to alert the federal government, the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, the Department of State Services, DSS, the Bankers Committee, and the Nigerian media to an organized plot by some vested interests within the Nigerian banking system to begin to orchestrate a diversionary gaslighting campaign to stop the proposed banking sector reforms. What is the goal of this group? It is to either delay or force the Central Bank of Nigeria to drop the ongoing reform of the banking sector, so as to elongate the stay of their paymasters at the helms of affairs in some of these sick banks. The capitalization program, as you well know, requires forensic audit of the books, of the loan books. This is what they do not want.
Well, I guess it's good to put it out there so that the regulator will also be aware and perhaps put some strategies to mitigate some of these dissenting voices. Now, another matter, this came up over the weekend. The Vice President, Oil and Gas at Dangote Industries Limited accused international oil companies in Nigeria of doing everything to frustrate the survival of Dangote Oil Refinery and Petrochemicals. He said that they are jerking up high premium price above the market price, thereby forcing them to import crude from other countries. It's no longer news. We've spoken about how Dangote has been importing crude from outside the country, importing even WTI. And then sometimes we've asked the question, why? But let's try to understand the supply chain. And perhaps this will give us a bit of an explanation of how come IOCs in Nigeria can, if this is correct, mitigate or frustrate another company in the country. Let's discuss this with the chairman of Crude Oil Refinery Owners Association of Nigeria, Mr. Momo Oyakerua. He joins us virtually from London. Mr. Oyakerua, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Doing good. So this is an allegation from Dangote, and you are in the value chain. We are not. So, and when I was discussing this in the office off air, obviously, a lot of people, including myself, are asking how come they're able to influence or frustrate another company, that's the IOCs, in getting crude. Could you explain to us the picture, the background picture of this?
Okay, thank you. I will take it from the angle of what I would call producers of crude rather than focusing on the IOCs alone. I think what we usually call IOC are the international producers, but I don't think it's just about the international producers or international operators in Nigeria. I think it's more or less about the producers of crude in Nigeria that are perhaps frustrating the refineries in Nigeria from getting crude, because we have been on this journey. I particularly have been on this journey for about 3 to 4 years now, advocating for crude sales to local refineries and also perhaps, when necessary, mostly for the modular refineries, for crude to be sold to them in Naira, because most of their products are produced into the local market and they sell in Naira. Their income actually in Naira. And it's just commonsensical that if you sell products in Naira, and you should be able to get your feedstock in Naira, mostly when that feedstock is produced locally, so that you don't put pressure on foreign currency, on the USD that is already scarce in the country. But however, coming back to your question, what is actually happening is that we have had several engagements with the NUP, ROC, and all of that. It is very clear in the PIA law, in section 109, there is DCSO, which is supposed to be domestic crude supply obligation to support the local refineries. And I think that law was specifically put there by the legislators not to starve the local refineries. But what we have seen is a huge and stiff resistance from the producers of crude in Nigeria. They would rather prefer to export crude abroad than to sell to local refinery. What I've always said is that crude is not used for any other thing than for refineries. And if we have functional refineries in Nigeria, why shouldn't we be able to support? I think also the government has to play its role to ensure that the laws that they have passed are actually implemented, because we are trying our best. We are pushing as member of Quran, including Dangote, that's recently come into operation and is also part of us now. We have been collectively
pushing. We have been holding several meetings and all of that with NMDPROA, NUPROC to ensure that there is adequate crude supply to refineries in Nigeria so that we can meet the local need. In fact, as it stands today, with Dangote production and the production from the modular refinery, we are currently self-sufficient in the production of the primary products, which are diesel, fuel oil, naphtha, and kerosene. And Dangote is producing aviation fuel. There is really no reason for importation of product into the country. And I think in the news, I've been seeing some of this argument going up and down, discussing how even the marketers are frustrating the efforts of the local refineries. And I think this is also a challenge because even in the PIA, Section 317 also spoke to this in the sense that the PIA anticipated the situation where at some point we'll be self-sufficient in the refining of crude in Nigeria. And this law of backward integration where importation should not then be allowed or maybe should be restricted except when there is challenges and all of that. I think some of these laws, government will need to, or the regulators, they need to look at these laws properly and find a way of effecting them to support people that have actually put so much in investing in Nigeria and also creating huge employment. Because the 5 operating refineries in Nigeria today, we are employing in excess of 10,000 people. That's huge. Imagine closing those refineries down, not supporting those refineries with the feedstock that they require, and also not being able to produce product to the local market to alleviate the suffering of the people. We all saw that when that came on stream, diesel dropped from 1,600 to about 1,002. As we speak today from our refinery, we are even selling less than 1,100. So it's to tell you how far producing crude locally can support the economy and support the people of Nigeria.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand. We have the regulator, one of them, the NUPRC, and even before now, because I know I've had you on the program, I've had Mr. Idoko, who is also in your association, on the program, and now we have Dangote talking about the issue of crude availability and supply. Are there concrete, legal, legitimate reasons why the crude producers are not supplying to, or are reluctant, let me put it that way, to supply to local refineries? Is it because they make more profits exporting this crude?
For me, I think it's a double-edged question and stuff. One is that in some of the meetings we have had, some of them said they have international obligations. Some of them want to use third parties to deal with the refineries rather than dealing with us directly. For example, if a company is producing, mostly the international companies, when they produce crude in Nigeria, the PIA is asking them to deal with us, but they want us to deal with their trading companies, and those trading companies will put margin on this product. For example, I think what Dangote is going through, compare WTI and Brent. Dangote is currently buying WTI, and I think his delivery, WTI delivery to his facility as of today, from some of the information I have, I think his delivery at probably Brent, or maybe Brent +1. So, and some of these producers in Nigeria, they are selling at Brent, and they want to sell at probably Brent plus a premium through their intermediary companies. So you find out that the company who is producing crude in Nigeria probably want to deliver to a Dangote refinery at Brent plus maybe $5 or $6 up to maybe $10, depends on what it is. But product that is coming from US at WTI is delivered to Nigeria at equivalent of Brent. So why should that be the case? So they're charging premium on the product to deliver to Dangote. So product coming all the way from US, delivery at Brent, including shipment and all of that. And WTI is a bit lower. So now is someone who is producing in Nigeria is charging you premium because he's going through a trading company that is based in Europe or based somewhere in Switzerland or in London and all of that, which is also taking margin on that product. So we are saying some of these things shouldn't be like this. We should look at, for me, I see it as some of these companies, they are not being loyal to the country that they are operating in. The Senate or the National Assembly has passed a law for a company operating in Nigeria not to want to go by that law, to be contesting the law, to say this is what they can do and this is what they cannot do. It's anti-country participation. They are not supporting the country. That's what it means.
So Mr. Yakure, the law is there. It's implementation of the law now. I believe that's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's the implementation of the law because, in the last few months, we have been up and down with NUPROC, holding meetings here and there. For me, I think it is time. There is a template which we have developed with NUPROC. I don't think there should be any further waste of time for NUPROC to actually implement that template. They should implement it so that crude will be available because all the time, I was reading in one of the papers last time that the chief executive of NUPROC was saying a template has been developed. Fine, it has been developed. What are we waiting for that template to be actually implemented? Because the question here is that the template that has been developed, the PIA section 109, what it says is that licenses should not be given to any of these companies to export crude.
All right.
If they are not meeting their domestic crude obligation. So the NUPROC should ensure that they meet their domestic crude obligation before they give them licenses to export crude.
All right, thank you so much. We have to stop there. Mr. Momo Oyarikwa, the chairman of OPAC Refineries and also chairman Oil Refinery Owners Association of Nigeria. We certainly will push this message on and hope and believe that very soon the regulators will step in and there will be abundant crude, which Nigeria is known for, to domestic refineries. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, Dangote Refinery is supposed to start jet fuel exports while seeking crude supplies from IOCs. It's still a concern, even in the commodities market space, as we have the Chief Executive Officer will be joining us in just a couple of seconds to also discuss this, because whether it is petrol, which we expect from Dangote from July, or it is jet fuel or diesel, which is already in circulation in the country, it all boils down to the availability of crude. And we heard Mr. Yakeruwa talk about how, of course, we've seen how many times Dangote Refinery had to import WTI, and as I said, they import at the price of Brent. It's supposed to be cheaper, and Brent is a finer sample, I hear, from the experts who are there. We have the Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Orani. Mr. Orani, good morning, and I guess we just have to continue in this. We're supposed to be getting petrol from Dangote. He's supposed to start jet fuel exports. All of this is supposed to build into, the country is looking for foreign exchange and all of that, but if it doesn't have crude, obviously, it remains a challenge.
Yes, it is true that there are many products that come out of the refinery fractional distillation column. The highest being methane, and then you have dual-purpose kerosene, which is jet fuel. It goes all the way to diesel and petrol, premium motor spirit. But the reality is that I heard the last speaker talk about the contracts. In the commodities market, there are forward contracts, futures contracts, and all of this. So you, as Dangote, as a refiner, definitely to buy its crude at the best possible price. And the truth is that what the Dangote refinery is guaranteeing Nigeria is that you would have refined products, you will have the quality that is global standards, but that the price at which it will be sold will not be subsidized by the private investor himself. So that is the question, and we have no doubts in our mind that the way they're going and the way we're going, we are going to be seeing the prices of these products begin to decline as the efficiencies and economies of scale begin to kick in. What do I mean? I mean that we've seen the price of diesel, which went as high as 1,700, now down to 1,200. In fact, some places 1,100. That has a major impact on the rate of inflation in Nigeria. If you now take on aviation fuel, which is very, very important, aviation fuel is 40% of the direct operating cost of airlines. So if aviation fuel is now being produced by the Dangote refinery, we think that we could see transportation costs, local transportation costs begin to come down, and that will kick in to the year-on-year inflation rate, which is also very important. So what we are saying here is that, yes, you must enforce the laws. Yes, people must be asked to comply, but those have to be in the context of the way the commodity markets are structured. And Dangote is a major investor and needs to be encouraged and protected so that he's not buying crude at a premium from outside of Nigeria rather than buying it from Nigeria. So that is definitely a question that we face today in Nigeria. We need to incentivize our producers and our local investors so that they can get the benefit of it, and the country as a whole will benefit by lower inflation, higher employment, and the level of macroeconomic stability.
But now that Dangote has to import crude, what impact can we expect that to have on the products, if this continues?
Well, whether he imports it or he buys it from Nigeria, the crude that he buys from Nigeria would have been exported to earn dollars. So once Dangote is buying the crude in Nigeria, it means Nigeria does not have those dollars that it was going to export. But it's much more efficient for Nigeria, for Dangote to buy his crude from within Nigeria and pass on the benefits all the way down the line to West Africa and Nigeria. That way, you'll find that the country benefits more from a much more stable exchange rate, less pressure, forward and backward linkages in the economy, and also the fact that certain sectors that depend on this, the quality and quantity of the refined products, will benefit, and therefore productivity, output, and the GDP begins to improve. That is what it's all about. So we shouldn't look at it as a mono-dimensional problem, which is, okay, now we buy crude or we import crude, and therefore the exchange rate will now appreciate. No, it is the fact that once output is guaranteed, no matter where the crude comes from, then the quality and quantity of refined products affects all the ancillary businesses and the linkages, and that helps to increase output and then brings down inflation, which is key to this whole process.
All right, so let's look at the Naira. Just when we thought the Naira had stabilized, we saw yesterday, I think in the parallel market, it's actually hit 1,005. But the official market really closed 1,490, 1,488. And we've heard a lot of news of, Forex inflow has increased and all of that. So what's causing this depreciation at this time?
I think the difference between 1,490 and 1,500 is marginal. Cast your mind back to a year ago, when the difference between the parallel and the official was something like 400 naira. Now we are talking about 10 naira. So I think what the central bank has done is to actually put out there a format, a market restructuring format, which allows people to, oil companies and others, to sell to end users in a willing buyer, willing seller basis. And therefore, there's a price discovery mechanism that is taking place right now, which makes it much more efficient. After that, then you begin to increase the supply into the market so that people don't get carried away. I think that once inflation starts to reduce, and we've seen signs that inflation begins to reduce from July, August, then interest rates begin to decline, and then the currency actually begins to strengthen based on increase in output, growth, and investment. So I don't want us to be carried away because there's a 10 naira depreciation in the last 2-3 days. No, the long-term trend of the Naira value is beginning to show that the Naira stabilized and then begin to appreciate over time as inflation begins to decline. You cannot take it in isolation. You have to take it in the context of what is happening to other variables, including inflation, interest rates, and output of goods and services.
Yeah, well, at least PwC have said that we expect inflation to be at about 29%. But we had this conversation before the Salah or during the Salah, and we saw what was happening to commodities prices. It's after the Salah now, and it seems it's a mixed direction. We see for Gari is up 13%, rice is down, flour is down, beans is up. It's mixed. What's going on?
But tomatoes is down sharply.
Tomato isn't down sharply. I haven't seen it, Mr. Rwanda. I've not seen that. I haven't felt it in my...
26%.
Yes, it's down 26%. But I mean, every woman will tell you they have not felt that impact yet.
No. Rice is down to 75,000, which is down by 6%. So it's the post-Salah reaction is what we're seeing. Some people have to get rid of their inventory and then begin to replenish their inventory at current prices. So I do not necessarily agree with that Pricewaterhouse that the rate of inflation will come down to 29% in December. I think it will come down to much lower than that, maybe more like 24% rather than 29% in December. But, again, we never know. Everything depends on how the minimum wage issue is handled and managed. If that is managed efficiently, and we now begin to see output increase in certain areas, then we may begin to see inflation actually decline much faster than we thought. But definitely we are approaching the point of inflection. And so, touch wood, we will see price of these commodities into decline as we go into July, August, and then the harvest season begins to kick in. So definitely...
Mr. Rani, 24%, that's very drastic. We are getting to the end of June, so in less than 6 months, inflation will drop to 24%. That's really drastic.
No. Why do I say that? Because we've increased interest rates, right? And at this time last year, you have to use the base year effect. At this time last year, what was the exchange rate? And what is it now? So because that feeds into what the prices are. You are comparing the price of the goods now to what it was last year. And if inflation is beginning to slow, it will slow first before it begins to decline, because of the cumulative effect of all of these policies. Again, we don't have a crystal ball that can tell you exactly what it is, but definitely it looks as if the inflationary spiral is going to start declining and begin to have an impact on the general level of prices in the country. So there's some flicker of hope at the end of the tunnel.
We'll count down to December and see that. But thank you so much for your time and perspective, Mr. Bismarck Rwanda, Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company.
Thank you very much for having me.
So it's almost time for Sunrise Daily to continue, but let's just look at the numbers and see that the NGX closed in the red yesterday. I guess we shouldn't be surprised. A lot of frenzy going on at the Eurobond, the fixed income market. It opened yesterday, so we expect attention to have moved there, which is exactly what happened. But don't worry, I think the banks will bring attention back to the NGX. Activity yesterday was more off green. There you have it. Value was down, but deals was really good yesterday. A lot of deals took place, almost 10,000. Top gainers were the penny stock. Penny stock drove the market. You will see insurance up yesterday, just like it closed last week. But who gave you fresh numbers, intraday numbers? At 1 p.m., Business Incorporated. Ladi Williams will be here with Will Ibong. And then, but now let's head back to the Sunrise Daily Studios. I'm sure they're waiting for you.
from, they said they are Ipo community, one of the host communities of the airport, blocked the gate at the airport roundabout, waving placards and singing and wailing and even cooking at the gate. Some of the inscriptions on their banner included, we demand our citizens' rights, Ipo women, peaceful protests. Yeah, they had earlier protested and blocked the airport, not this one. So the women had blocked the airport. Yes, there you go. This is the second time this year that they are protesting. And they had protested on the 27th of March this year, but we understand that at some point they were pacified by the former chairman of the Rivers Traditional Rulers Council. But now, as you see, they're back.
Well, certainly two different protests happening in Port Harcourt. Or will I say a series of protests happening in different places. There's one by the Ipo women, which is happening in front of the airport, and this one, which you can see right within another community in River State. But I think it's important to say that these are two different events happening in many different areas of River State.
So all associated with the local government chairmanship, the tenure, who should be where, has it expired or not. So we've got two gentlemen joining us this morning to weigh in into this matter. We've got Tamino Williams, who is a lawyer, is a former executive chairman of Okerika local government area from 2011 up until 2014. We also do have Honorable Hope Pikiriko. He's a chairman, Ahoda West local government area, former commissioner, Federal Civil Service Commission, representing Rivers, Bayelsa, and Delta states from 2013 up until 2018. Is a former chief whip and deputy leader of Rivers State House of Assembly from 1999 to 2011. Gentlemen, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. Let me start with you, Mr. Williams. This is a matter in Rivers State. As we've seen now, who knows? Nobody knows who next. We've seen different groups protesting at different times. And okay, Mr. Williams, just unmute yourself so we can hear you. Let's hear your perspective on this matter. First of all, what do you make of these protests? Let's start from there.
Yeah, Chamberlain, I think that the whole issue surrounds the elongation of tenure of local government chairmen. That is the current issue. But there are several other matters. The underlying matter essentially is who is going to control the political structure as characterized by the former governor of Rivers State, who is now the minister of the Federal Capital Territory. That is the issue. There is a political struggle, a power grab exercise, where the former minister, it is clear to all of us, is intentionally desirous to ensure that he keeps the local government structure to himself for his personal use and for the advancement of his political enterprise. It's clear and simple. That is the situation. And that is why you can see that the former members of the House of Assembly of Rivers State intentionally, consciously, and deliberately amended laws that they made, laws that they operated. The chief purpose of those laws that were amended is intended to tie the hands of the people of Rivers State behind their back and use their resources for the aggrandizement and for the furtherance of their primitive interests.
All right, Honorable Williams, do you know those who are protesting blocking the airport?
Yeah, as not just as a lawyer, as a political scientist, and as a former local government chairman, and as also one who is on the ground. There are for now, there are 3 categories of people who may have protested. The first category, I think, were those who were in support of the inauguration and the commencement of work at the local government level. The other category are those who are affected, the labor movement, especially Nolge, who are unable to go to their councils to perform their duties as workers. And then the one that happened yesterday, the former chairmen who are saying that they support the closure of councils, the closure of a 3rd tier of government. Those are the 3 categories we know. There may be other categories that will be sponsored by people from time to time, just for the furtherance of the interest of these primitive interests of their own political enterprise.
All right, let me bring in Honorable Dr. Ikiriko. Thank you for joining us again on the program here today. But do you share the same, well, I don't think you share the same perspective with Honorable Williams, but just to check, what do you think of what's going on in Rivers State?
You know, we're in a dynamic society, and when you find yourself in such environment, one person's agitation also affects another person's agitation. I disagree totally with what he's saying. The reasons are because what is happening in Rivers State, it's not about aggrandizement, it's not about people trying to muscle power from the other. We are all aware that the major struggle is within the party. It's a situation where people come together to embrace somebody to say the person should go and serve the society, serve Rivers State. And at the end of the day, you're just, wake up one day and think that those people who helped you to come on board, to offer good service, quality service, and bring dividends to the state, are fools, are people you can just, use and dump and then chase them away and produce a new set of people that you can use for your personal reason. And then, you talked about the issue of protest. Mm-hmm. For the case of yesterday, Rivers people woke up to realize that from the antecedents of certain persons in the state, the police have seen that it might, send to anarchy. And they have come in, they have carried out their legitimate responsibility to make sure they protect lives and property. And then they took over the council. And then it affects we that were elected to be in council. I'm a chairman, and I'm chairman of Ahoda West local government area. And I realized that when people agitated, genuine Rivers people agitated towards that, we saw notices from NLC, from the TUC, and the labor union that they were going to strike, they were going to protest and make sure that they force the caretaker, the illegal caretaker community into offices for the reasons best known to them. Okay. Recall that before now, some persons who came from the Crude.
Dr. Kiriko, pardon me to jump in.
On that Wednesday, yes.
Are you, the group that are protesting and blocking the airport, are they sympathetic to your narratives, this view that you hold now?
No, the group that are protesting the airport, they are not part of us. But I know there's another group, Obiakpop people, who didn't join yesterday, who are also protesting and saying that, well, everybody should allow the police to do its work because the chairmen are all people who are law-abiding.
Okay, because the point we're trying to make is that the good people of Rivers State...
Because there's problem in the state.
Just a minute.
So expect that
what we're trying to say is that the good people of Rivers State, hope you can hear me, should appeal to them. Yes. Don't block the airports. There are people who are scheduled to go about their legitimate businesses. You can't block the airports and emergency services and such facilities. People's lives cannot be put on hold because of politics. So wherever they are, whoever is listening, they need to enforce that. Because if not, when the authorities go in and try to do something, then they can say you're taking sides.
I'm talking about genuine people who are, there are two groups in this instance for today's own. I'm talking about genuine people, genuine Rivers people who say that if the police would in any way allow the illegal, caretaker company to go in, then they should allow the legal people, we the chairman, we the elected people, to go and do the legitimate responsibility. Okay. And when we got there yesterday, which of course the other couple will also notice today, when we got there yesterday, they didn't allow us access, and we saw that they were doing their work, and as they're doing that, we didn't see the NDC people and the labor union and the caretaker committee, allowed access. So we said, yes, do your job. We're not interested. We'll just stand, the LGP and the people who are showing capacity, showing that they are responsible and protecting their own integrity. And then we went back. That's all. But the day we hear that they are inciting the illegal caretaker committee, Rivers people certainly will not accept that.
Honorable Kiriko, this is also against a police advisory that was issued a day earlier, asking everyone to hold their peace and not stage any protests for fear that this protest could be hijacked. I find it a little strange that you say you disagree with Mr. Tamino Williams on the bone of contention, because even the former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, has said that the bone of contention is really about the structure, the tampering with of the structure of the PDP in Rivers State. How come you disagree?
Of course, when you talk about the structure, it's referring to attitude of PDP members who are led by the present governor. His attitude would tell you what he is fighting for. We were already in one structure. Why pulling out a structure that brought you in? What's wrong with it? Why agitating to hijack? Why are you hijacking the structure to form your own structure? PDP is a structure. PDP is one party. And if PDP is one party and you are benefited from the party, wouldn't you want others to benefit? You want to be a live governor? You want to stay there for perpetually? If you know that those persons, the party that brought you in, remains there, then all you can do is to make sure you serve the people so that by your antecedents, by your testimony, Rivers will want PDP to continue to reign in government in Rivers State. That's all we want.
Let me go to Mr. Tamino Williams now. You have said that this is about structure, which we had heard earlier from the former governor of Rivers State. This is a structure that produced the current governor against all of the wishes of the party at that time. I mean, we understand that there was enormous opposition against the emergence of the current governor. What precisely would you say has gone so wrong with that particular structure which produced him, which he's now seeking to reset to the, at the expense of peace in Rivers State?
Now, I can just refer to empirical evidence, not what I think. Now, you will recall that when Governor Fubara assumed office, I was in the stadium. He declared that he will never do anything, you can play back, do anything that will bring disagreement between himself and his predecessor. Now, the first school of thought, and you can investigate, has postulated that when Governor Fubara became governor, for the first 5 or 6 months, governance of Rivers State was done remotely from Abuja, which is to say, and you can investigate that, the governor was not allowed to make appointment of persons who he would have wanted to appoint. In fact, a lot of local governments did not have commissioners. The appointments were made by Abuja. But that was not just that. Secondly, projects and programs were dictated from Abuja. Thirdly, the governor was not even able to spend money to serve Rivers' interests. All approvals were supposed to come from Abuja. That is the school of thought of the first school. So, in fact, that even the state aircraft and all that were still under the control of the former governor. The picture was that Governor Fubara was supposed to be a puppet. He was supposed to be just an occupier. In fact, and indeed, what was envisaged or calculated or orchestrated was that this Fubara's first tenure will have been an extension of the tenure of Governor Wike. That is what one school of thought has said. Now, if you juxtapose that to what was happening, you may want to believe that. But it got a point when I suspect Rivers men and women, elders, stakeholders said, no, you cannot be a governor can be controlled remotely. And I hear that the governor made effort to say, look, this cannot go on like this. You recall that when the Port Ring Road was to be commissioned, the former governor said that the contract was signed in Germany. He was there. He oversaw the signing, but it was to be executed by the governor Fubara. And the truth is that at a point, the governor, I'm sure, began to assert himself as governor. And that is where the conflict started.
Mr. Williams, you said that you are speculating. Isn't that correct? You're saying that this is a matter of speculation. I also imagine that when you say Abuja, you mean the former governor, not that the federal government is the one dictating what should happen in Rivers State.
Abuja Accord.
I'm sorry?
I said, if you read the Abuja Accord before the president listed the conditions for peace. And the condition for peace vividly captured the issues in this. One was return all the commissioners. The commissioners were appointed for the governor. They come when they want to come, they resign when they want to resign, and then they are finally left. If you go further, local government chairmen, don't remove them. Recall them. The governor was given a death warrant, which returned from Abuja to Port Harcourt. And Rivers people are saying that, look, implementing this death warrant will mean that Rivers has been sold out. So what you're seeing is that Rivers people, through Rivers people, are saying that we want our governor to be the chief executive, allow him to perform with the best of his abilities. And
when you say true Rivers people, are there fake Rivers people? I'm just wondering, are there fake Rivers people? But you've also made reference to the laws, which you claim that the House of Assembly signed to subjugate the people of Rivers State. Do you want to give examples of the kind of laws you're referring to?
Oh, I have a plethora of laws. The first law is the amendment of the Rivers State local government law. 2018 amended to ensure that the assembly could not extend the tenure of local government chairmen. Before now, I was a chairman, and my friend, Dr. Kirko, was a chairman. They were all sworn in by the governor of Rivers State. But now they're saying a local government chairman will not be sworn in by the governor, to be sworn in by the chief justice. They also amended the procurement law. By the old procurement law, the governor had some latitude on how to execute projects with this part. That law was amended. They also amended Rivers State traditional rulers law. By that law, the governor can remove the chairman, but they amended to remove the power from the governor. I can go on to itemize the law. Let me give one striking example.
The examples you have cited seem like they are trying to reinforce the autonomy of local governments, not subjugate the people of Rivers State. I mean, it doesn't sound like a subjugation. I mean, if they're saying that the governor shouldn't swear them in, a chief judge should swear them in, if they're all the other examples that you've given, it sounds like reinforcing the independence of local governments.
Yes. Superficially, you would think so. In law, for a crime to be committed, there are two elements, the actus reus and the mens rea. The intention of those amendments is not to reinforce democracy. Mark you, these gentlemen were in the House of Assembly. They voted against autonomy of House of Assembly, okay, under the former governor. Now look at the other law I want to cite, the Rivers State traditional rulers law. They said the governor can no longer remove the chairman. You know why? But the former governor had the power to remove the chairman of the Traditional Rulers Council. Even the Rivers State University law, for example. The Rivers University law, the old law was that only the council can recommend and remove the vice chancellor. That law was amended by this outgone assembly to empower the governor to remove the vice chancellor. And I can tell you that power was exercised by the former governor when Professor Didier was removed. Look, I can give you, a litany of issues. The summary is that the House of Assembly intentionally took steps to make the governor a lame duck governor. That is why real Rivers people, on the length and breadth, in the diaspora everywhere, are saying that You cannot have a third tenure, haven't finished your second tenure. And if you watch what is going on ground now, you can see that actually, for the first time, Rivers people can breathe now.
I do not know if you agree with this analysis. Well, I doubt that you will agree with this analysis, but would you say that this issue of structure, which is a little exaggerated? I'm looking for the right word now, because if you look at what is currently happening, the protests we're seeing, there were a series of protests yesterday against the advisory of the police command in Rivers State. Today, we're beginning to see another set of protests, some of them hampering movement in the international airport in Rivers State. Isn't this becoming a little too much? What do you think will be the solution for peace in Rivers State? This is for you, Honorable Ikiriko.
Well, the solution for peace is for the man who started all this problem to sit back and not be allowed to be blackmailed by anybody and do the right thing. My brother Terminal gave an instance of the 8-point agenda that went for the resolution. I was there physically. And I saw the president, even in his address, he told us there clearly that even before he came up with this resolution, he was aware. And he asked him before us, he accepted. So why didn't he privately tell the president, I won't agree to this, I won't agree to it? It wasn't as if the president came, wrote out, a martial law and read to us. He didn't reject it. Right there and then after reading it out to us, he also asked them if they were okay. I mean, you ran to the president, you begged him to intervene. And then before we got there, he had already attempted to stop, truncate the tenure of the local government chairman. Was that proper? These were the things that the president came in to intervene. Who now is the one intimidating the people? Who now is the one destroying the system? They want to truncate the system that have a 3 years tenure. And then we were at the verge of being pulled out when the president intervened. And they said, allow the chairman to stay, allow this, go do the proper thing, present your budget to the assembly. This was a fatherly, intervention. And we felt it worked. And at the point when they asked him if he was okay with the resolution or with the agreement, he said yes. Only to come back and met these blackmailers again, who told him all sorts of things. Asking for peace now. If you had done all that, and maybe they come together again and they say, this is how the president has said, we'll do this, this is how we'll go about it. That's on one side. It is the problem of the one who is piloting the affairs of the state. And it's make us feel as if the problem cannot be resolved. Been in government since 1999. I don't know how, all the governors solved their problems. In 1999, there was the major problem between my political father, Dr. Peter, and I would say, he solved it seamlessly. How, as Muse came to join the government and work with them just for the interest of peace. And so they tried to erase this Riverine and Upland dichotomy. And all that, Amechi entered and also tried in his own way to make sure those problems were not there. But coming to the issue of commissionership, how would you think? How would you try to convince these people that somebody dictated for him? In all the administration I've witnessed, they get nominations from different places. As young as I was in the assembly those days, 1999, I had the opportunity of nominating somebody. The governor at that time called us. All right,
Dr. Ikiriko, let me ask you. So
I contributed. So that people contributed to his administration in nominating. They recommend commissioners. They don't impose it on you. And when we look at the cabinet,
tell us then.
People who work in the previous administration. And those who, the mantra for this party is about continuity.
Just hang on a minute.
And continuity means that certain persons
so tell us then, is there any reason, Dr. Ikiriko, just hang on a minute.
So that the new people that are coming
is there any reason why local government chairmen whose tenure have elapsed should stay in office?
See, we are all here by reason of law. It is law that guides the society. It is the constitution that keeps the president there in the manner in which he's there, and the number of years that we are getting for 5 years, we are getting for a single term of 5 years. If that is in place, president will stay for 5 years single tenure. Everything that people are doing now within government circle is by law. I was an assembly member, and when we make laws, the constitution empowers us to make laws for the local government. Whatever we make as
what law is. Are you relying on to stay in office?
We are relying on the amendment of the local government law. Now, the amendment does not seek to extend the tenure. That will be made clear. I'm surprised that certain person today, everybody's a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm lettered. I can read and write. I understand when people speak, and when I understand, I go that way. If there are complications, I seek professional advice. The law says that in the event where the government cannot conduct election, there's no vacuum in government. This is what the rule. It's like a doctrine of necessity. It's like adopting the constitutional provision that creates that, a precise.
All right, gentlemen, we need to wrap up.
So right now, where they have done that, I will walk away from the law? It is a law that is keeping the chairman there.
You say there is a law.
Right now, the matter is
let me ask the lawyer then.
The court. Let's all wait. Wait for the court to come up with his judgment.
Okay.
Applications in the Constitution.
Honorable Williams, we need to wrap up. Just tell us quickly. He cites the local government law. What do you think?
The existing law was local government law of 2018. That law was amended, but a court of competent jurisdiction, Justice Kyo, struck down that law. That law, Section 9(1), was at variance with the Constitution and declared the law a nullity.
But he says
that
we still need to wait for the court to ultimately decide.
They went on appeal. And I want to quickly anchor this point that in 2015, a similar scenario happened where the outgoing governor conducted the election. The people went to court, and the court said,
but if the matter is in court, I think it will supersede whatever might have happened previously, unless they ruled otherwise. So we have to wait. So while waiting,
everybody
shouldn't they all maintain status quo?
Let the court. Everybody maintains status quo. Your tenure has ended.
But what is the status quo now? Swearing new caretaker committee chairman?
The law has been struck down.
All right. Want to thank both of you for coming on. Tamina Williams is a lawyer, former executive chairman of Okrika local government area. We've also had Honorable Hope Ikiriko, who is chairman Ahoda West local government area. He said they should continue. And also former commissioner, Federal Civil Service, representing Rivers, Bayelsa, and
Thank you, Dr. Kiriko. My pleasure to you too.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So that wraps it up today. We'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain, so goodbye.
Well, Tuesday just flies by like that. Thank you for watching. Please stay safe out there. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Do you find it difficult to make it to the gym? You want to improve your overall health, but don't know where and how to start? SportX Digital Compact Treadmill. The compact foldable treadmill that makes being active and losing weight fast and easy. Just unfold it and walk, jog, or run. And when you're done, just fold it and store it away. You get the SportX Digital Compact Treadmill System complete with a rugged commercial-grade traction belt, large LCD multifunctional display that displays speed, time, distance, calories, and has 12 different exercise programs, as well as a magnetic safety key for added security.
The SportX treadmill has